hope you're having a wonderful week, and this video today is for all of the data nerds out there. I actually went back and reviewed some of the things I did back in my data analyst days, and I did a little bit of analysis on home sales in Sedona only. I went back all the way to August 2021, and it's now April 2021, so that's about 8 months of data. And I just did a little bit of analysis of the kinds of things I would have looked for when I was working in my past career as a data analyst. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to compare data, home sales from homes that are in HOAs versus homes that are not in HOAs. And the reason I'm doing is this is because I got a lot of people that ask, can I buy a short-term rental property in Sedona, or can I buy a vacation home that I have the option to use it as a short-term rental, say I'm not coming back to Sedona for 6 months. So it's a little bit difficult to set up a search, set up search parameters for that, because what the difference is in Sedona we have HOAs that will allow short-term rentals or will not allow short-term rentals, but most of the HOA properties restrict short-term rentals to 30 days, some of them 90 days, some of them as much as 6 months. And then non-HOA properties most of the time allow short-term rentals unless there are CC&Rs that have been recorded restricting them, not enforced by an HOA. But as a general rule of thumb, if somebody's asking me for something with a short-term rental option, I will give them a list of homes with no HOA. So that's not always a rule, but that's a good way to start your search. Now, if you're specifically looking for a home only to be used as a short-term rental, what I suggest is you look for something that's already being used as a short-term rental, because that will clear up all your doubt. You'll know it's able to be used for that purpose, and you'll be able to get into some of the numbers and evaluate if it's a return that you want to invest in or not, because the data will be there, it will be proven, and normally they will let you look at their books and you're able to make a decision based on fact rather than speculation. And I'm going to give you an example right now. In Uptown, I believe there is a beautiful home for sale for about $2.5 million. On the listing, it gives some of the revenue numbers. It said in the last maybe 16 months, they have collected almost $500,000 in revenue on that particular property, and the sellers have netted about $350,000 on that particular property. Now, this, of course, is over 16 months or so, so I had to annualize that for 12 months, do a little math, and of course it's hard to know because I don't know if it's exactly 16 months, if it's 18 months. I don't know if they're counting their mortgage or not, but I came up with the number that they're netting about 9%. Now, of course, if you want to play with the numbers, if you're going to base the return on how much money you're putting down on a property, for instance, you're going to get a higher rate of return. 9% though is really good. And then, of course, I don't know if that $350,000 is if they're counting a mortgage and if they've removed that amount on it. So, of course, it's going to be individual. This is just high, pull out of the air thing, but it's nice when you've got one that's already being used. So I'm going to go back to my original project here. So now the fun part, I'm going to walk you through my findings. I'm just going to review my spreadsheet and how I organize the data. I have 2 tabs on my spreadsheet. One has HOA sales and one has non-HOA sales. Again, this is all for Sedona only, not the rest of Verde Valley. This is done between August and April, so we got about 8 months worth of data here, and again only looking at townhomes and single-family homes, the bulk being single-family homes. So let me show you what I came up with. I'm going to look at the non-HOA tab first. There were 192 sales of homes in that period, and again this does not include for sale by owner. This is only from the MLS. So I have the average selling price in Sedona as $1.192 million. And I say average because a lot of the indicators, when I'm looking at data sources that have been pre-done, they'll usually say median. I actually like to do the average. I think it's a little more accurate. So the average sales price about $1.2 million in Sedona in the areas without an HOA. Now, the largest amount of dollars that went under asking price was $1.2 million, which was about 29% under asking price. This is in non-HOA areas. There was one in the Red Rock Loop that listed for over $4 million and ended up selling for $2.9 million, almost $3 million, and that was about 29% under asking price. Now, that one I remember seeing it live. I thought it was a little bit overpriced, so that would be why. Again, $1.2 million under asking price, which was about 30% under asking. Now, the largest amount over asking price in the no HOA was $726,000 over asking price. That was a 66% difference. That was in West Sedona. I think it was in one of the ones on Farmers, which is, a beautiful West Sedona area. 66% difference, and the home eventually sold for $1.825 million. Now, I'm going to give a honorable mention to this one that sold in Uptown. Actually, it wasn't quite Uptown. It was on Brewer. This house listed for $220,000 and sold almost immediately for $300,000, which is pretty incredibly small amount for a single family home. But the reason is that home had been in a fire. It was burnt out. It was condemned. When I saw it list for $220,000, I thought, what a great flip opportunity. But when I saw the photos, that place was practically gutted inside. That would be a huge undertaking to renovate that place. However, if you have the financial resources to do it, the person who bought that probably stands to make a lot of money on that project. So overall, all of the homes that sold in the non-HOA sold for about 1% under asking price. So that is very close to asking price. So now you can get a gauge of that if you're writing up an offer about what you need to do. Again, if it's something you see that's overpriced or underpriced, there's definitely room to, offer under asking. Or if you see something that's priced low, you definitely might want to ask over or offer over asking. But in general, stuff is going very close to asking price. Okay, so now I'm going to look in the HOA neighborhoods. The average selling price, and again, this is townhomes and single-family homes. The average selling price is $1.01 million. So again, average sales price in Sedona, non-HOA or HOA, is just over $1 million. Okay, so in the HOA neighborhoods, there were 236 homes that closed in the last 8 months. Again, those are only from the MLS. The average selling price was just over $1 million, $1.01 million. Average selling price, again, average, not median. The largest amount under asking price was $600,000. So that was about 22% under asking price for a home that was overpriced to begin with, and it sold for $2.09 million. And the largest amount over was one in West Sedona. I think it was on Farmer Brothers, and that was $500,000 over, $500,000 over. Ended up selling for 21% over at $2.9 million. That might not have been the Farmer Brothers house, but that was in West Sedona. And again, average sales price $1.01 million in the non-HOA areas, and about 1.5%, maybe less than 1.5% under asking. So again, you'll see in both the HOA and non-HOA, stuff is going very close to asking price. Of course, there's going to be variance, right? If something is priced low, it's going to go for a lot above, and vice versa. And there are some agents, I think they strategize by offering homes lower than I think it will go for in order to create a bidding war. So that doesn't happen every time, but if you see something underpriced, you're definitely going to have to offer over asking. But don't be afraid if you see something that's overpriced to offer at a little bit under asking. So that's it. That's the inner geek talking to you. I am doing this with my spreadsheets. I don't even have my lighting out, but I thought this could be good information if you're just doing a little bit of analysis on Sedona and the sales for the past 6 months. Yes, still a very, very hot market. Almost everything is selling. I sell not only Sedona, but all of Verde Valley, which would be Cottonwood, Camp Verde, Rimrock, Cornville, and also Flagstaff, sometimes in Prescott area. So if you have a real estate question, go ahead and give me a call, a text, an email. We could set up a time to talk. And the channel, Living in Northern Arizona, I talk about everything that might pertain to you living here, relocating here, retiring here, or if you've always been here like me, just a little information on what's happening in the state. Again, Dawn Dickenson, and I hope you liked the video. I hope you come back and subscribe, and I hope to see you back here again next week.